Okay, so I am so glad I had you try to do this on your own. Guys, mistakes are a beautiful thing because they help you learn things better. So everybody was wrong. That's all right. Let's embrace the wrongness. Woo! You were all trying. You were all giving great effort, and you were wrong. It's okay. You're going to be wrong in this life probably a whole lot of times. Nothing wrong with it. Now, this is what you need to do. Is everybody listening? Great, I need you listening. You need to look just at the 0 and the 1. Okay? Don't look at the whole thing. We don't, and you know, I understand where the confusion came from. You're comparing from the 0 to the 1 to see in one, like from 0 to the number 1, in one, golly, how do I explain this? I'm not doing a very good job of it. To get from 0, which is nothing, up to 1, how many sections are there? How many steps are there? There are 4 sections to get from 0 to 1. So each section is what part of the way? A fourth. Yes.
Can you turn off the lights? I can't really see it.
Okay, turn that on. So each section is 1/4 of the way. Each section is 1/4 of a step. So let me see. You need to explain to yourself that you're comparing 0 to 1 and figuring out how many sections there are to get from one integer to another integer. So that's how we came up with 4 sections. So this is 1 out of those 4 sections. Here, from 0 to this one is 2 out of those 4 sections. From 0 to here is 3 out of those 4 sections. And from 0 to 1 is 4 out of those 4 sections. Does it make sense that we have 4/4 here where we've got the 1? And so what's this next one going to be? 5. No, we've already done 4 out of 4. This is 5/4. Now we're going to go from the 0 and step to the left. So when I go to the left, this is what fractional part? -1 out of 4, -2 out of 4, -3 out of 4, -4 out of 4. Does that make sense that your -1 is also called -4/4? And then -5 out of 4. So do you understand why it's fourths and not the tenths? So what we've learned from the beautiful mistake you made is you don't count all the sections in the entire number line because part of these are positive and part of these are negative. You count sections either from 0 up to 1 or from 0 down to -1 because they'll be equally divided. All right, so you understand that? Good. So now you actually have a coordinate. The numbers are called coordinates for every point. So Addie, what's the coordinate for this farthest point to the left? No?
Are you talking about the 1?
The one I'm pointing to, the -1, yes. Graham, what's the coordinate for this point?
-4.
No, sir.
Wait, -3/4?
-3/4. Say that out loud. -3/4. John, what about this one?
-2/4.
Okay, now we don't have a point there, so we're not going to say anything about that one. We're going to go over here. Addie, what's that coordinate?
0.
And Graham, what's this coordinate?
1/4.
1/4. Perfect. We're not going to say anything about that one because it doesn't have a point. John, what about this one?
3/4.
It is 3/4. And Addie?
4/4.
But what's the better was already given to us. What was already on the paper. 1.
Oh,
And Graham, what about this one?
fifth fourth,
Try again. What's the top number?
5 fourths.
5/4. There we go. Okay, good job. So let's flip over. And we have one more example. It's similar to the one we just did, except for I don't believe we have fourths. I believe we have something else. So I want you, now that we've done that last one, and hopefully you understand it a little better, but even if you mess up, that's okay. We'll learn from it. I want you to put what all the little notches represent. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You put what all those little notches represent. All right, so let's take a peek here and let's see how our number line needs to be marked. Let me move it down. There we go. So if I look at 0 and then move over here to the 1, if I'm comparing that from one integer to another integer, how many sections are there? 3 sections. Or, Addie, I love the way you were looking at it. You were actually embracing these negative numbers and you were comparing from 0 to -1. How many sections are there? There are 3 sections. So whether you look on the positive side from 0 to 1 or on the negative side from 0 to -1, we're still talking about 3 sections and thirds. So here's 1 out of the 3 sections, 2 out of the 3 sections, 3 out of the 3 sections, which makes sense because if you were doing fourths, you didn't have 4/4 there, did you? Here we have 4 out of 3, 5 out of 3, 6 out of 3, and 7 out of 3. Moving to the left, what's this first one going to be?
-1
-1/3,
I'm third.
-2/3, -3/3, -4/3, -5/3. Now, guys, I want you to pull out your calculator. Okay, everybody have your calculator? First, I want you to listen to me, and then we'll pull out the calculator. But first, I want you to listen to me. Right here, when we had all 3 sections, that was one whole integer, right? So every time you have a grouping of 3 sections, you have another one whole unit. So when I go up 1, 2, 3 sections to this one right here, from 0 to this one is 1, because that's 3 whole sections. From here to here is another increase of 1, right? So what number should be right here? If it's one whole section and another whole section.
4s.
Well, wouldn't that be the number 2? If these 3 sections all together make one whole.
6.
Well, it is 6/3, but 6 divided by 3 is the number 2. It's the number 2. That's because, assume you had a candy bar. You took one big candy bar and you divided it into 3 even sections to share with your friends. Even though you divided it up into 3 pieces, you still have one whole candy bar, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this would be like the 3 sections of the candy bar, even though it's divided up into 3 sections. If you have all 3 sections, you have one whole candy bar, right? What do you have if you have another 3 equal sections? Do you have one more candy bar?
Yeah.
How many candy bars would that be altogether? be 2 whole candy bars, but you have 6 sections, right? It's divided up into thirds. You have 6 of those sections, so altogether you have 2 candy bars. I know fractions feel kind of weird. You're going to get more and more comfortable with them, but 6 out of 3 is actually 2 whole candy bars or 2 whole somethings. All right, so I like how much better y'all did on this one than the first one because you remembered that you're comparing integers when you're counting the sections. Now we're going to take another stab at these practice problems. Now that we've done the notes again, I have a good feeling about y'all understanding this better. We're going to go over this homework and just take a look at it before you do it, okay? So let's look at each of the problems and make sure you understand them first. So down here, let me,
So is this the same thing?
well, yeah, I told you I was doing the exact same lesson again so that you would have a better understanding of it. So here, you are going to label the marked points using a fraction, a decimal, or an integer. Now, we've mostly worked with fractions, so that's probably what you're going to be more comfortable with. 3 points have been labeled for you. There's a label here, a label here, and a label here. Write all points in order from least to greatest. So the first thing you're going to do is what we just did on that practice page. You're going to figure out what coordinates you put under each of the notches. But when you're writing the points in order from least to greatest, you're only going to do the points that are drawn. So you won't write, whatever this coordinate is, you won't put it in your list because there's no point there. Does that make sense? Feel like you understand it? Any questions on that one? All right, let's flip over. Now, number 2 here is really similar to the first problem I did with y'all on the practice page. You have some integers, those are going to be easy. You've got some decimals. Decimals are kind of easy, but then you've got some fractions. So you're going to take these fractions, rewrite them as decimals, so you will know where to put them on the number line. Now listen to me. Let's look at this one. They didn't put the 0 on there for you, did they? Look at the 2 numbers they did give you, -1 and +1. Guys, where does 0 fall on the number line?
In the middle?
Right in the middle, between -1 and +1. So you can figure out where that 0 goes by just counting in from the -1 and +1. You'll know where to put that 0. I need to stop this video and make a new one.